Live from the heart of the Blue Ridge, Roanoke, Virginia. It's the Just Bernard Show with host Bernard Alvarez.
I'm really excited to speak to our guest today. Marina Jacobi is what I guess we would call a conscious channeler. She is the author of The Harmonic Reactor, and I felt like this was a good time to speak with Marina and have her on the show because, you know, I feel that we are going through a dimensional shift. And part of that shift or awakening is to develop our natural telepathic communication. And Marina has already mastered this. She's connected with different beings that have told her they're from higher dimensional frequencies and hybrids. Marina started to I can't say that, telepathically connect and hear everything years ago. She's received information on everything about consciousness and the new metaphysics that is the bridge between matter and consciousness. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome Marina Jacobi. Hello, Marina. How are you today?
Hello, Alvarez. Thank you so much. Hello. I'm really thrilled to be here. Can you hear me well?
Yes, you sound wonderful.
Thank you.
Right, wonderful. We're so glad to have you on the show. I know we had to reschedule, and I'm glad you're still able to make it this month to come speak to us. And I'm glad everything's working out for the best. Anyway, so Marina, let's start off since this is your first time on the show. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about how this all started. How did you realize that you were receiving messages? How did this connection with otherworldly consciousness come into play in your life?
I was very young. I was like maybe 8 or 10 years old when my mother went into a webinar somewhere in the middle of the country, came back with a couple of psychics. Prior to that time, I always had like very vivid dreams that they were becoming reality in my daily life. So I was aware of that, but at that time, I guess I didn't know what that meant. So when my mother came with these people, I saw they were talking about energy healing. I was put in a circle between them, and they did some kind of a movement with their hands, and I almost passed out. And as soon as they saw me losing energy, losing consciousness, they moved their hands upwards. And I would never forget that. I was in the middle of a circle. And I gained consciousness instantaneously. And it was a very profound experience for me at that time as a child, because I said, how is that possible? You know, so after all this finished, my mother suggested that, you know, you can talk to spirits, you can talk to anyone if you wish to, you can, why don't you try to do something? So she suggested I can take a pencil and do, see what the pencil will do. And to my amazement, I really follow her advice. And I started taking the pencil, and from scribbling end up going into words, that the words became sentences. And what I've discovered that the sentences became like a messages, and it was always about goodness and loved ones. It was never really out of the ordinary, except somebody that passed away. So through the years, I developed this type of a connection. It was something normal that I was doing. When I got a little bit older, I had opportunity to come to America. I was very happy to be here. Thank you for everything this country did for me. And right before 2012, all of a sudden, I never did anything like this, like a business. I was just doing it between family and friends to help, you know, people. So before 2012, I was literally walking in somewhere. I sat down, and all of a sudden, a new entity came in, and he said, "Hello, Marina, we are the hybrids." And I started interaction with the hybrids that they told me that they're looking like the Greys, but they're not the Zeta Greys, that they were very benevolent. And they start teaching me metaphysical teachings. In the meantime, they taught me how to detox my body. I was shown everything that is possible to be shown about what's happening in the planet. Uh, Negative side and how people will manipulate it. I went through a lot of, tremendous. I was very upset when I realized what was really happening. But at the same time, they were telling me, okay, now you know what is happening. Learn the metaphysical structure. So they were teaching me how every thought that you have becomes a reality. And I was pointed to different scientists. I will grab the information for one scientist, and then I will see the information of different scientists, and all of a sudden all the stuff started to connect with each other. After them, while I was talking to them, I connected to the consciousness of Ra, and he, right before 2012, started also teaching me about energies, about connection, about the interstellar connection, until later on it was revealed to me that I was part of consciousness of Ra. And this is the reason I had a connection with him. After him, I was connected from the Pleiadians. And the Pleiadians, in the meantime, I was learning all the metaphysical structure, everything that I had to learn about consciousness and how things are working. And it was all very evolved quantum metaphysical teachings. And the Pleiadians gave me information, and I downloaded the book from them that is called The Harmonic Reactor. And it's basically, you can find this on my website, marinajacobi.com. And the harmonic reactor it's about all interdimensional traveling, teleportation devices, frequency and sound, how you can implement different frequencies into the quantum field. So when you combine it with quantum computer, you literally can make a code, and you can press the code, and right in front of you, it will pop out, for example, could be a bottle of water, or could be water, could be anything that you wish to do when you know the structure of that, matter, which is energy. And I've realized that everything that they were teaching me, that was basically, I was able to make the connection between consciousness and matter. What is God? What is the God particle? So basically, and after that, I had a connection with Council of Nine connected with me, that right now through them I work with some scientists, because I get a lot of metaphysical teachings. I channel a lot of information that if scientists ask for anything, I know the information instantaneously. So we go through a process. And just lately I was contacted from 11 dimensional beings they were working on the grid of the planet. I had a lot of messages. If you put Marina Jacobi on YouTube, you're gonna see all the messages that I end up posting there. And all of that is about that the grids are fixed, that we can manifest whatever we want to do in the reality. And the most fundamental things that I want to make it clear today is that consciousness and matter, it's a one unity. There's no separation between the God particle and the matter. It's connected with each other. And we are made from one particle that is vibrating in a very high speed of frequency that is appearing next to itself and next to itself and next to itself. So in actuality, what you're doing is projecting yourself like a hologram through the consciousness, because in the hologram, everything is like a sound and light and frequency. And when you combine them into a trinity, basically three different lights, they combine together, becomes a plasma. And this plasma is based on magnetic and gravitational field. And in the center is the black hole. And the black hole is actually teleportation, is basically something that you teleporting from one reality into another. And when you know that, when you give a consciousness to that plasma, as soon as you lower the frequency of the vibration, becomes matter. And this is the reason why we see our hands and you touch something and you think is matter. In actuality, if you really put your body under electronic microscope, you're going to see light. You're really not going to see matter. The only reason you see matter is the way the consciousness itself is constructing in this particular momentum of vibration to give you a experience. And all the consciousness is dreaming. What I've learned from them, that this reality is a dream state, that we already made it into a higher dimension, but what we are doing right now is dreaming the ascension of the planet Earth. So we all made it.
No, that's very good news, and boy, do I feel that as well. What you just said, that we've transcended, but we're still stuck in the dream state for some reason. That we are, I don't know if it's by choice or if we still have unresolved issues. But why is that? Why are so many of us still choosing to live in this dimensional reality when we've already evolved?
Because you have to go through the experience. Collectively, the planet Earth is going through a ascension process. But the whole trick for all that is that, and the secret of all that is that since you're made from the quantum field, your thoughts, your emotion, and your action is creating the reality that you're going to perceive. And that is what is fundamental. So if you know how to control your thoughts, emotion, which they are frequency sound, you are actually shifting from one reality and teleporting into another reality. You're reconstructing the same images of parallel Earth, and you're moving every quantum second from one parallel Earth to another by projecting the same images into it. So if you hold your vibration of emotion, thoughts, and actions at the same time in a higher frequency, which means to be positive, to watch positive movie, to watch positive, to behave in a positive way to others, to be given and vibrate in this higher realm of frequency, you're starting to shift moment to moment to moment to parallel reality of Earth that are already in an ascension process timeline, because we collectively going through ascension. But how you going to perceive that ascension? Are you going to see destruction, or are you going to see a beauty, or even if it's an earthquake, are you going to be in a safe place? That is accordingly to agreements and accordingly of the vibration that you are vibrating as a consciousness. So you shift into a reality of Earth that already exists in a structure that is already in ascension timeline.
Ah, yes, yes. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I have I've had this question from many of our listeners and viewers and followers on Facebook, whatever, friends and fans that have asked, with now that we know, and so many of us are understanding and developing relationship with whether we want to call them transdimensional entities, higher beings, ETs, other races of the galaxy. How come we are allowing the planet to go through so much destruction and chaos, and why haven't they stepped in to stop this disaster from happening?
They already stepped in. The latest thing is that collectively in our consciousness as a human race, we gave a permission for intervention. This happened like 2 months ago. I ended up posting this from the 11 dimensional beings, that the grids are completely fixed. And the reality that we're going to perceive right now is accordingly to our own vibration. So if you want to see positive outcome of whatever is happening, even if your system collapses, even if you see anything that is a disaster, you have to continue behaving in a positive way and holding your vibration in a positive thoughts in order for you to shift to a reality of an outcome that you're going through this process. Because we have to go as a human beings, we have to go through the lesson and the ascension process. There's no escape from that. We have to go through the lessons because it's simply part of evolution.
Yes, yes, and I guess what many of us need to do, or perhaps could do, is to acknowledge that we have a collective ascension happening simultaneously as we're having an individual ascension.
Yes.
And we need to work, I don't know if we need to, but be aware that they are one and the same, but yet our actions with our own ascension are going to reflect on the actions of the collective ascension. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, this is exactly. Collectively, we all going through this. You hear there's a war somewhere, and you hear something else is happening, but at the same time, it's not happening to you. Collectively, we're going through changes, but may not be in your own particular individual reality because your lessons, your agreements, and everything that you're vibrating on is in a different, basically, layer of the same timeline. Because think of it as a like an onion, that the onion has a lot of, it's the same onion but has a lot of layers, and in each layer it's a different reality, different outcome, and depending on how you vibrate and what layer you are, that's what you're going to perceive. So that's why you need to hold positive vibration and not to give in the reality is like you standing in front of a big TV screens, a lot of TV screens, and in each one there's a different realities. For example, the one reality that you're going to perceive and experience is the one that you consciously choose to tune in, like a radio frequency. So if you see in one reality, you see in that screen that is something negative happening and somebody is broadcasting negative, if you choose to listen to that, you actually, what you're doing is infusing that reality into your structure. You crystallizing it, and in turn, your consciousness is starting to project this reality because it needs something to crystallize it. But if you acknowledge that it's there because it's part of consciousness, and in the same time you see in channel 5, you see beauty that may be something, but you see positive outcomes, you choose to tune in into this one and you know it's positive, you starting to crystallize and vibrate in that structure, you intune that within yourself, and in turn you're projecting positive outcome in that reality. That's how it works in a quantum field, and that's how we are.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. I can't help but notice that many of us on this path of awakening have had a very similar, I don't want to say a similar story, but it always seems that we have to be confronted with the dark, the negative, the chaos, the war, and then we seem to elevate our consciousness out of it. But you know, I see it happening all over the planet where many people, when they begin to awaken, become very negative, very fearful, very angry, very outraged. And then eventually, you know, we transcend that. Is there a reason why we have to go through this, I call it the fear porn stage, where we love the death and destruction stuff, and then we elevate into a greater awareness? Is that a part of the process that they've told you?
Yes, this is the part of the process, because they said, how can you know what is positive when you don't know the negative? Energy is simply energy, will go the way you go, because, for example, from atomic energy, you can build an atomic bomb and you can save with complete free energy the planet. So depend how the energy is implemented into everything we do, that's how the reality will go to. And the reason why we have to go through this process is because consciousness itself, since it's not biased, will go the way you think of it. Imagine if you vibrate in a negative thoughts all the time without you knowing the difference what is positive, you literally not going to exist. Consciousness must exist. It's always there, and this is the reason why you have to know the difference between all the realities and all the energetic fields, so you can implement it and create something. It will be no creation and no existence if we don't know how to manipulate that, if we don't go through that process.
I couldn't agree more. I feel for those who have gotten stuck in the cycle of seeking the death, the destruction. It's almost like there's a part of humanity, I call it rubbernecking. Like, you know, you see an accident on the highway and you can't help but turn around and look at it. I see it so much within our consciousness movement those that are always concerned about the reptilians taking over, or
Yes.
Planet X is going to hit us, or something, the Anunnaki are coming back to enslave us, or
Yes.
it's always some type of, oh my God, we're all going to die type.
Yeah, run for the mountains.
What's that?
Run for the mountains. I know.
Yes, yeah. Well, I did, and I'm happy I did.
Oh, I had a lesson with that one. They made me collect water for 2 weeks and food for 2 weeks, and they said to me, okay, now in 2 days something is happening. And I go, okay. So I collected water for 2 weeks. I collected food for 2 weeks. And in 2 days, 2 days almost coming, and I go, something is off here. Of everything I've learned, and I know that if I start believing that something is happening and I have to have food, then I'm infusing that particular reality. Soon as I said that, immediately they telepathically connected, because they're always there, and they said, oh, finally, we were wondering how long was going to take you to realize that if you put your consciousness of thoughts and believing and take an action to something negative that will happen, you're actually infusing that particular reality. So you must know that you have everything you need, that everything is perfect, even if you see a collapse of a system, because what you're doing is you're creating a reality moment to moment, and you're shifting to a new earth, and you're manifesting through synchronicity everything you need in that reality.
Marina,
so
we need to take a break. We're having a commercial break right now, but hold that thought. When we come back, we'll continue.
And now, back to your host, Bernard Alvarez.
And welcome back to the Just Bernard Show here on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We are the #1 listener-supported radio station in the world. So remember to support us with a small donation if you can. Just go to freedomslips.com and click on the donate button. Keep all these wonderful programs on the air. Anyway, before the commercial break, we were speaking, and we are speaking, with Marina Jacobi. You were telling us a wonderful story about how these entities were teaching you a lesson on the end of the world mentality, for lack of a better term. What was the end result of that?
Well, the end result was after I realized that nothing was happening. They were telling me that if I take an action, and if I believe in my consciousness, if I know that I have to prepare for some kind of a major disaster and take an action towards it, I actually shifted myself and projecting a reality accordingly to my belief system. So I'm creating my own reality to have an outcome of negative with a negative outcome. But if I know that even if I see a collapse of a system and I know that I have everything I need, I'm going to start shifting and putting a realities for me that everything I need in a structure is going to appear. Maybe a neighbor will give me water, maybe I will have food, or maybe I'll literally manifest pantry of food inside my house, or something will happen through the structure, through synchronicity, to give me whatever I need. Because you are the creator, you are the manifestation part. Because remember, we're made from this one particle, and you are the quantum structure. When you lower your vibration, you become a matter. So you are the structure. So whatever you put out is what you get back. The structure is a mirror image of your own consciousness. So if you put this in belief system and knowingness and take an action, make sure that you infuse your actions towards the positive and hold that positive vibration so you have a positive outcome, even if you see a collapse of something that is happening.
Wonderful. And that leans itself to the whole, the prosperity discussion. So many of us are always concerned of what we don't have. I myself had to go through that lesson, feeling I didn't have enough, without realizing I will always have what I need. And the moment I shifted my consciousness to, I don't want to say trusting, but knowing that the universe is going to provide what I need, maybe not what I want, but what I need and I allowed it to enter my life, everything changed. My whole life changed. Everything is growing, getting better, getting bigger. I wonder if you could talk a bit about the prosperity vibration that people seem to be disconnecting from sometimes.
Yeah, that is exactly right, Bernard, because you said it very well. If you give a gratitude to everything you see there, what's happening into the field that we are made from, you give like they call it 0 point. And in 0 point, you're preparing everything to come to you through synchronicity to infinity probabilities. So basically, if you are accepting whatever you see, but you know that everything is fine, you tuning yourself into that structure and you're projecting something to come back of a positive outcome. And the prosperity is depending how much you know and you take an action towards moment to moment to that. So I was told from them that there are timelines that are locked in for intergalactic interstellar connection. Basically, you're gonna have a reality where it's gonna be interaction with extraterrestrials, new technology, free energy devices, and you're gonna meet with your basically intergalactic family, being Pleiadians, being Necturians, and this is all by agreements. And there will be a section that will experience basically ascension of the planet Earth with helping the Earth with the new structures and everything that is coming. And there's a section also that they were saying that not to have any fear into anything, because no matter what somebody is trying to do, they were saying, the negative side will never succeed because higher order of consciousness is involved. Above extraterrestrials, they're higher consciousness, and higher consciousness can change bylaws. So even if somebody is trying to do something negative to stop the process, they were acting that they were seeing like a little children are fighting, and basically they're going to be stopped. It will be, they said, such a circumstances that it will be like a miracle that somebody was trying to do so many things negative for people, and all of a sudden through synchronicity something will happen to that person, will be stopped, so humanity can go into ascension process for the new beginning, fifth dimensional structure.
Wonderful. Yes, and that's very good to know. We all really need to align with that because it's true.
Well, these messages are posted from the 11 dimensional beings. If you put Marina Jacobi Good News on YouTube, and I also kept one for the positive frequency. It's called Marina Jacobi Holding the Positive Frequency, and I posted July 30th at 20 this year. So if you listen to that, it's all there. So
Oh,
you can do that.
wonderful. Thank you. I'm so glad you put that out there. We have a question from someone in the chat room asking if we devote our thoughts to an ascension timeline, regardless the experience we choose, do we ascend?
You are already, if we're talking for the whole structure, we already ascended. What we're doing right now is the ascension process. It's like a dream state. But the whole thing is what's happening here is like every reality that you experience existing simultaneously. So if right now you have a choice to do something positive, but you decide to go the other way or turn your head around and not integrate with that, you will experience the reality that you chose to do at that particular moment. Nevertheless, the other reality of ascension is still existing, but the one reality that you're going to experience at this moment is the free will choice that you end up doing at the same moment. Does that make sense?
Yes, it really does. I speak when I speak about ascension and these topics. I kind of frame it in the sense of we need to get to know our higher self, align with our higher self, trust our higher self, and guide our lives to our higher self. But when we choose to go against what is already happening within us, that's when we get turmoil, unhappiness, fear, and whatnot. So it's almost as if, yeah, we are there. We need to tap into it and not ignore that.
Yes, you have to tap in from within, because the higher dimensional sequence is when you stay in your passion of love, forgiveness, and exception of everything. So my suggestion is moment to moment to moment, you act of your highest expression of yourself. Be passionate towards others. Be compassionate and give out of yourself to others without any expectations, because that's how you resonate in a higher frequencies, and then you tune in accordingly to these realities. If for example today you kind of feel like you don't feel really well, you kind of feel down and you want to do something, this is the momentum that you have to catch. And at the moment you catch that you have a negative thoughts, they call it shift your consciousness. And what you're doing is bring your thoughts and bring your emotions and deeds into something positive. Think of something positive. So you raise your frequency and emotion to a higher realm, and then your your day, the entire day that you have, will go accordingly to that vibration.
Yes, yes. It sounds almost as if you're speaking of what the Buddhists would call mindfulness, being mindful of our thoughts, being mindful of our actions within the moment. And so many people seem to have such a difficult time. A great example, I had a client yesterday who I did a session with, and they were scared to death to meditate. I asked them, how do you feel about being alone with your thoughts? And they were like, my body shivers at it. You know, they needed to have radio or TV or something to keep their mind distracted from themselves. And I wonder if this is a part of this oppressive matrix paradigm aspect that we need to transcend. I always speak about being vigilant of what we expose our senses to, like you said, music, television, the vibration of the world around you, of the objects that are around you, of what you put in your body, what you put in your ears, your mouth, your eyes. And I can't help but wonder, why is there so much oppressive feelings toward ourselves, to going within?
Well, every reality, if somebody, for example, right now gives information and say only a certain amount of people are going to ascend, or only this person is going to be the president, what you actually hearing, think of everything like an energy. Think of this information that you're standing in front of thousands of screens of different channels. Now you heard that one is going to be a president, you heard that the other one that is going to be certain people ascending. It doesn't have to be your reality. The only reason is going to be your reality if you put a belief system that only certain amount of people. Why not put a belief system and know that the humanity itself is ascending? How it's going to ascend, when it's going to ascend, and what is going to be the momentum, it's going to be irrelevant because it's fluctuating. Every moment to moment to moment, you shift into different realities, but that reality is going to be accordingly to your structure, to your knowingness, and to your belief system, the way you act moment to moment. So if you stay on the positive, that doesn't mean you don't ignore what happened. If something happened, be compassionate, go take an action through your heart and do whatever you need to do. But it's going to be the process of ascension process for humanity, not something that is negative, because you did not tune in constantly in the negative structures, because then it crystallizes in your body, in your energy, and you start vibrating on a sequence of timeline that is negative. And they know that the negative side that is projecting this, they know that, and this is the reason why they're projecting constantly movies about ETs or news that is based on fear. It's not based on let's get together and let's help, because every reality exists simultaneously. There could be negative sides and there could be a positive side. Which one do you want to experience is depending on the one that you're projecting into your consciousness.
Yes, yes, yes. And I can't help but think about a question I receive, and actually a topic that's brought up quite often, where people are very concerned that if they're unhappy or they get angry, or they go out and have fun and go have a few drinks, that they're not being spiritual. And for me, I feel it's very important for us to allow ourselves to experience this human experience, to empower this human experience, and that, you know, the idea is to align with what is not only positive for humanity, but what brings us happiness as well. What are your thoughts when people say, oh, oh, you just yelled at him, that you're not a spiritual person, or you got angry, you're not spiritual? What thoughts do you have?
Spiritualism is part of spirituality, because through your ups and downs you actually molding your own persona, your own personality, and this way you learn through your downfalls. You're not going to be able to actually really perfect your consciousness into a better sequence and whatever you do if you really don't know the downfalls of of different types of behavior. This is all part of the process. So if sometimes you feel like watching a certain movie, yes, you may, but make sure that you're not staying constantly in that vibration. Don't go watch constantly negative movies or something like that, because then it's going to crystallize in your reality. And it's fundamental. They were teaching me about that because I was watching, different types of movies, and they were saying wanting is to lust and love has completely different frequency of vibration. So be very aware how you implement your love, how you connect with others, because you tune in into the structures, and it has to be from the purity of the heart, not to the lust, because then you have a different outcome.
Ah, yes, yes.
That's how they taught me.
Wonderful. That's absolutely, that resonates with how I feel. I do feel it's important for us to be genuine, and that genuineness comes from our heart, from love. And in order for us to be genuine, we have to acknowledge, like I said, you have to acknowledge that you're interested in watching, oh, I don't know, the Terminator or something like that.
Yes, yes.
But acknowledge it, like you said, in a way of, this is only entertainment. This is not the way I want the world to be, so to speak.
But not to be all the time in that structure, because
Yes.
sometimes it's meant to be projected so can crystallize. There are different sides of humanity that wish to project that constantly, and that is the problem. That's why I stopped watching this type of movies, because even the latest one I think is Contact, or that they did, is just, I hope that is not on the negative side, because it looks very interesting. But I see again wars and fear and all that, and this is a projection. This is actually something that they consciously projecting into your consciousness. So people may have a fear if really they don't know the metaphysical structure of the existence, how to use it.
Absolutely, Marina. I can't agree with you more. I feel that there is so much propaganda and so much, how we call it, social programming, or
Social programming, yes.
and it's up to us to take responsibility and to create a new line of programming of that higher consciousness.
You reprogramming yourself when you tune in constantly in the shows like yours, when you're listening to positive messages. This is the reason I was always projecting positive messages, and they always talk about positive, because it's always good to know what happened. When I started learning everything, I was listening to Carrie Cassidy every day for a year, because they were showing me what's happening. But okay, you know what happened. I've learned that, and they said like this to me. Okay, now you know what happened. What are you going to do about it? And this is how you can change that reality, and this is the knowledge. Everybody has a place for that knowledge, but what we're going to do is just information. So when you have the information, when you see that something negative is broadcasted, it's up to you to choose to tune in. You don't have to acknowledge. You acknowledge that it's a programming, and you say, "Thank you for showing me what's happening, but I choose, and I want, and I believe, and I'm taking action towards positive." And you tune in positive, so you can infuse the positive outcome of reality.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that goes back to what I was saying, where some of us have to go through that stage of learning about what's happening. Many people don't know what's happening, and I appreciate the work of Project Camelot. I, like you, had was very into it for the first few years, and then the same thing happened. It was almost as if my guides were saying, "Now that you know, you have responsibility to do something about it, not only within your life, but in the world around you. It is now, you know, it's up to us what's next, basically."
It's up to us, because everything I said, well, can you please tell me for this is happening? And they told me absolutely irrelevant. Yes, there will be things happening. There will be collapse of structures, collapse of systems. But every single time something is collapsing, a new system will be in place. So if you know that, if you believe that, if you behave that, and if you start using the metaphysical structure, believe me, you're going to tune in into this reality in this timeline.
A question that many people ask is, what happens when we finally ascend? What's the new Earth look like?
The new Earth will look like the way you projected from your consciousness, the different type of realities for it. That's what they were saying. Imagine how, for example, if right now somebody's asking you, imagine how the Earth looks like, the fifth dimensional. Whatever you imagine right there, this is one of the bylaws that they taught me. Whatever you imagine in this moment, if right now all of you imagines fifth dimensional Earth, whatever that image is part of your reality, because you, every thought that you have, every image that you have, it's a bylaw, basically says you cannot think of something if you don't know the vibration of it. You have to know the vibration first in order for you to even extract it and project it in your consciousness from the quantum field, because every single reality exists to infinity, parallel, next to each other.
Yes.
So what you're doing, whatever you imagine, you're extracting something that already exists, but in order for you to become visible, it has to be from the invisible to become visible. You have to tune in into this vibration moment to moment to moment, to know it, to believe it, and take an action in order to crystallize in your consciousness so you can project it as a matter.
So it's almost as if we're not going somewhere. We're aligning with something that we've created
Already. Yes. You're
Right.
shifting actually to another Earth that already exists. And what you're shifting is you're shifting your consciousness, and you're projecting like a hologram, completely new Earth with the new people. So the old Earth that you happen to be there, you end up shifting your consciousness to completely new Earth that has nothing to do with the old Earth. And this is the secret, because you don't go and change anybody else. You actually changing yourself, and you're projecting completely new structure accordingly to your vibration of consciousness and sequence.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. And Marina, we're running out of time. We've got about 2 more minutes left. So I'd like to ask you, if you knew the entire planet, everyone was listening right now, what would the one thing be that you would like to tell all of humanity?
I will speak from the Council of Nine, and I would like to say that we are absolutely pleased for humanity to be in absolute ascension process. The sequences are combining in a 4, 5, 3 to 7 dimensional sequences right now. We want to wish you absolute collaboration for the new beginnings. We need to tell you that the new systems are already in place, and you stay in that vibrational sequence as of that moment. We also need to tell you that the grids are in complete capacity, so you will experience incredible regeneration of cells and bio integration into the technologies. Thank you for your services.
Oh, thank you, Marina. And what is the best way for people to follow up, get a hold of you? Your website, Facebook, what would you like to direct everyone?
I'm on Facebook, Marina Jacobi. I also have a website. It's Marina Jacobi, Jacobi, marinajacobi.com, and you can book a session, or you can watch all the videos. Yeah, you can download my book. I also are planning to, in the next couple of days, nanotechnology is coming, which is connected to the harmonic reactor, and this is for all the scientists. It's a very exciting time coming in the future, and I wish all of you stay in that sequence. I'll see you there.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Marina. And for everybody, we'll see you next week. Betsy Lewis will be joining us next Tuesday here on Revolution Radio. Have a wonderful week, everyone. We love you.
So